The speaker's race continues, and I just want to give you an update. First of all, thank you very much. Thousands upon thousands of Americans for Limited Government subscribers contacted your members of Congress in support of Jim Jordan, and we truly appreciate that. Obviously, it didn't work out. But what it did is it changed the game a little bit. The speaker's race has always been decided by in the inside game. And for the first time, real grassroots was able to have an impact on that race. And while some of the people in DC complained, the truth of the matter is, it is not a bad thing for people to tell their members of Congress what they think about who should lead the country and who should lead the House of Representatives. Remember, most Republicans go and they ask for your vote, and if you're undecided, they say, just remember, the vote that's most important is the first one we cast for Speaker of the House. Well, if the most important vote they cast is for Speaker of the House, then you darn well have a right to tell them what you think they ought to do. And so we make no apologies and are very happy with what you did and the polite way that you approached members of Congress, urging them to stand up and vote for Jordan. It didn't work out the way we wanted to, but I did want to say thank you to all of you. Now, what's the situation? We have 9 Republicans have said they're willing to run for Speaker at this point. In the House, it's an internal process. The House Republican Conference will meet, and they will have votes. And the way it typically works is they will have put 9 people are running. They'll be nominated in the conference, and so those 9 people will be offered for potential nomination. And the first vote, you'll have all 9 on the ballot. The second vote, if no one gets 50% plus 1 in the first vote, the second, they'll knock off the lowest number of votes, that candidate, and they'll vote again. And they'll keep doing that until somebody gets 50% plus 1 of the Republican conference members, at which point they become the Republican conference nominee, much as Jim Jordan was and much as Kevin McCarthy does. Then is my hope that they'll take the next step and actually make sure that that person has the capacity to get to 217 on the floor from people in that conference, from Republicans. And so it's my hope that they change the process to allow that to occur before they just go up on the floor and they say, gee, let's just have a bunch of votes and flail around and make us look like idiots. So it's my hope they'll then put it to a 217 test. And if that person is not able to get to 217, and it can be, I think in some respects, it has to be a secret ballot again. And so if they can't get to 217, then there's a question of how you get from there. But the Republicans cannot afford to go back out on the floor with a candidate for Speaker who cannot get to 217 votes. That is, there's things going on, but most importantly, it makes it look like it's not a serious endeavor. So that's where we're at. It's I can't tell you who's going to win. I don't know who's going to win. I know there's some people, that Tom Emmer, who's the majority whip, is somebody who has proven he can get a majority of the House conference to vote for him in the past. But that doesn't mean he's going to get anywhere near 217 to vote for him on the floor, because he represents the more liberal wing of the Republican Party. Will Kevin Hern from Oklahoma, who's the current head of the Republican Study Committee, make the mark? Well, he's proven an ability to get a majority of the about 180 members of that Republican Study Committee to vote for him. But does that mean he can get to 217? I don't know that. What I do know is this. There are a lot of very competent people in the House Republican Conference. There's a number of people who could do an outstanding job. Byron Donalds being one, who's a very smart, articulate, up-and-comer. You don't have to have been in Congress for 50 years to be Speaker. And so, in fact, Henry Clay from the 1820s and became Speaker at a very young age, and was Speaker of the House for a number of years. So it's not unusual for younger people to rise up the ranks rapidly when there's a void. And right now there's a power vacuum in the House Republican Conference, and there's a dispute, there's a war going on. let's hope that whoever is speaker will be committed to cutting the budget, A, dealing with Biden and challenging Biden, and that includes impeachment inquiries, B, and ending the border crisis by forcing votes on the border and forcing a reckoning on the border on the Democrats and this Biden administration. We had 2.5 million illegal crossers, just the ones that we encountered this past fiscal year. There's another million that got across. We don't even know who they are. Our nation cannot survive a border that is pouring in 3 to 3.5 million people a year, and not including the ones who come across, the million who come across illegally. That's not a recipe for survival. It needs to end, and the House Republicans need to deal with it. This is Rick Manning, Americans for Limited Government.